to be live. And I believe we are live. Hello, everyone, viewers here watching us live, and those of you watching the replay. Welcome in. Hi, Alexis.
Hello,
How are you?
Urania. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am doing a lot better. Every time
Good.
I come and meet with you, I feel a lot better. So even if I'm feeling really good for the day, my vibration is always like raised when I'm sitting here with you. So I feel
I
pretty
feel
good.
the same way. Like,
Yeah.
I know I
And
got
I
on here with the spark, but now I'm like, oh, we get the chat.
yeah, I know. And it's interesting too, because you and I love that we're both very dedicated to these conversations and just showing up and holding space that even when we do have, days that aren't the best, when we come here, we're just able to like feel into the energy and be present. And whenever we get off the call, like we always feel really good. So I'm really happy that I can show up even in, today was a hard day.
Yeah.
But it's getting better and better as, the day progressed and we're into the nighttime. So
Well,
awesome.
I'm thankful for you showing up, and I'm proud of you for it too, because I know it's hard to get on some days when it's like you're just off.
Yeah. No, yeah. When I just want to lay on the couch and not do anything.
Oh, yes. I don't even have to
Yeah.
feel bad to want to do that. Like, I'm a couch potato. I'm
Right.
not even
No,
ashamed.
I always, yeah, I'm always in that vibe. And I feel like when I'm in those vibes, I have stuff to do that day. And it's always like showing up on camera. But I know again, when I show up in these spaces, it really shifts the vibration. So even though it takes a lot of energy and a lot of like motivation to get up and go, once I'm here, like I feel really good. So
It's
yay.
absolutely worth it.
Awesome. So Mary's here. Hi, Mary.
Hi,
Jace is
Mary.
here. Hi,
Hey,
Jace.
Chase.
Yes, welcome in. So this is going to be an interesting chat. We have some dreams to share. We're going to talk a little bit about our bedtime routine, just really briefly, and what we shared in the circle last night. Of course, just really briefly, as it's a sacred space. And so, some things though that I want to touch on that I noticed in conversation with Alexis, like before the circle and even today, post circle, with both of us, we're in very unique spaces and we're noticing patterns that we hold within ourselves when it comes to, I guess, these kind of intentions and commitments that we make. And when there's other people, that are witness to the commitments, and, in a sense, we're in this accountability relationship, so to speak. And so you have to kind of show up and quote unquote perform. And so I'll share mine, and then Alexis, I'll let you speak for yourself and share yours. What is really interesting for me personally that I'm realizing as this is the second round of doing of facilitating a dream circle is that, like, before pre-dream circle, I am really inspired. I'm always inspired by dream work, but I'm really inspired. I'm having these really fun, amazing dreams, and I feel the shift in the healing. And then when it comes to holding space and just making this commitment and intention and a very firm statement to the universe that this is what I'm doing, and, I just have these big desires and intentions, I get hit with really deep shadow, really intense shadow. And it's really interesting because where I'm at in this moment, I definitely have gotten hit with the shadow, and there's a lot coming up with me that I've shared in, I'm sure, here on our dream live streams, but also in my cosmic climates. I talk about the transformation that I am experiencing with my whole identity. And so I got hit really hard with the astrology, basically, between the full moon, the Scorpio full moon, and this Taurus new moon. Everything's been coming up and everything's shedding, and there's so much happening. And so the shadow, the really anxious dreams, and just the anxiety is, and I'm so proud of myself in this very moment. I said the anxiety, not my anxiety. So that's a big deal. But I'm noticing in this moment that it's showing up right at the beginning versus like last season, which the last time I did circle was in the fall. It showed up halfway through, and it was both were pretty much activated by uh full moon energy, right? So I was feeling this energy before we even started the circle. And in the last circle, I got hit with this wave of, I don't remember my dreams as much. They're very anxious driven, and I just am not sleeping well. And it's like, I'm holding space. Like, what do you mean I'm not sleeping well? What do you mean I'm not writing my dreams? Like, excuse me. And so I'm noticing this pattern, and I hold space for myself, and I'm in honor of my journey because I know that I crave intensity, right? Not only for myself, but for others, because I know the really low lows bring the really high highs. And so I just want to show up and be authentic with my experience and my journey. And I know Alexis is also wanting to do the same, which is why we are sharing what we're experiencing right now. So I basically am in the space where I do have an amazing dream to share that I had on Sunday, and at the same time I'm in the transition of even my sleep cycle. Like I'm staying up late at night again and waking up late, and so I'm just being open and honest that I'm in this space of transition and in a space of unknown. And so I'm being challenged by the dream work as well in the dream realm. So we
Yeah.
all I know I'm facilitating, but I'm not perfect. So that's kind of
Mhm.
what I wanted to share in that regard. So what about you, Alexis?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that I'm having my struggles right now, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Taurus is opposite Scorpio, and we just went through the Taurus new moon, and there's a lot of things coming up to the surface that I feel on a day to day, but it's really being highlighted. And especially with the dream circles, or dreams and dream circle, I feel a resistance to doing any of it. And I know that this stems from my issue with authority. Like, I'm very anti authority. I have always been. It's a combination of many things, but it plays a role. That anti authority plays a role in the way that I conduct myself and give myself structure and routine, because now I'm giving myself rules and I don't like rules. So it's like I'm butting heads with myself, and I have in my head for months now, like, even though it's coming to the surface now, right now, for months I've had my like higher self screaming in my head that things need to change. And now that voice is like right here, where it was like back here, now it's right here. And I'm facing these shadow aspects of myself, and it is making it a little difficult because I am a avid lucid dreamer. I dream all the time, and now I'm situated, like, I made my bedtime routine. I'm getting things in order so we can stay organized and help each other through this 5 weeks. Like, I am doing this, and because I'm scheduling out, I'm scheduling myself, I'm giving myself bedtime, I'm giving myself these things. It's like everything's going in the opposite direction. So this is going to be my big hiccup, and I think I just need to get used to it. I don't think that it's going to linger on. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating because I notice that where I'll have a ton of lucid dreams, my recall is just like horrible the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started our dream circle. So it coincides. I'm gonna get over that hump. I'm already, like, even today I was able to pull out memories, and as I was talking at work and stuff, memories would come in, but it was like that tip of the tongue where, like, the memory is right there but you can't fully grasp it. um but I'm working through this, and this is a struggle that I personally have, and I'm sure a lot of other people have as well. So yeah, I am just learning to interweave that shadow aspect into my light side and see how it goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I do share that struggle of just when you say it out loud, when you have an idea, or when you have, some sort of intention or goal, and you say it out loud, like that makes it real. And then when you say it to other people, that makes it even more real. And again, there's that element of accountability. And so that within itself can become very stressful, especially because you're in this transition. So we're both in transitions in different ways. And
Hmm.
it's like a part of us wants to like stay in the comfort, and then it's like we have this extra push and extra force because we are in a space of accountability. And so it just makes it even more like, I feel like it accelerates like the intensity, which is good because we want to have, I feel like that's one of the challenges, but also beauty of doing things as a collective and having these sacred spaces of accountability, because we have the support, and the support could just be literally others witnessing that vulnerability and witnessing that process. And so,
Absolutely.
that doesn't mean either one of us is failing, or
No.
we're not going to achieve our goals. It's just a space of the in between, and something that's really uncomfortable. And so I feel like this is a perfect segue into the importance of routine. And actually this is right on point for, Taurus season and the new moon in Taurus, as Taurus is about, it's like the most grounded sign, right? It's fixed earth energy. And so there is a structure, it is the foundation. And one of the things that a lot of us who either have strong Taurus in our chart or know people that are strong Taurus, like it's hard to get them to move out of their routine or out of their comfort or anything like that.
Oh
They're
God, yeah.
very, very slow to move. And so I really feel that I feel that we're just embodying and being in that energy. Like we can't make, like we didn't really, yeah, we pushed the dates back of the dream circle, but also that was just the next best time, was the new moon and just the fresh energy. It lined up on a Tuesday because the initial starting point was going to be on a Tuesday, and it was going to be a Tuesday before the week before the solar eclipse. And so we're like, okay, we're going to do it with Tuesdays because that works. And like, what's the next best possible Tuesday? And it just happened to be this Taurus new moon. And so I feel so many of us are in this space of transition, and it's inside we're really excited, but it's also like it's taking a lot of force because we're literally shedding almost like karma or like old patterns, and stepping into something new that is just accelerating the more and more we lean into it. And so I
Absolutely.
mean, routines are like, while we're doing that though, I love that we began circle talking about bedtime routine, because that's so important. You are really creating or setting the space for this journey and for the experience. So we're like laying down a new foundation, a strong foundation, which is essential for anything
Absolutely.
that you do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the consistency and the accountability that we all have for each other within the circle is going to help us get through these 5 weeks and stay on point. And it's only going to get better from here on out. I'm very excited. I'm very optimistic. And I know this is a hiccup, but I'm not afraid of failing in small doses. So not being
Healthy
able to
failing.
remember my dreams, it's like, it's hard, but I'm optimistic and I
And
will
that makes it
get back
more
on track.
relatable, right? That makes it
Yeah,
more relatable for those we're holding space for, and
absolutely.
also for sharing here. So,
Yes.
um, Jay says, yes, because you might need to work on it, the shadow that is. So in reference to the shadow work that I was talking about is coming up. And yeah, I mean, it's like, there's always, I feel like the shadow is pretty much, is what is the word I'm looking for, or is produced essentially from light and dark, like kind of that in between, or when the light and dark merges, right, you get a shadow. And so that makes sense, like we're always going to be experiencing shadow ongoing. And also, when we're in transition, when we're moving from what's known to what's unknown, and the same thing from the unknown into what will then be what's known, or that insight, and intelligence that's brought forth. So shadow work isn't going anywhere. That's for
No.
sure.
If you avoid shadow work, like if you continue down the path of ignoring your shadow, ignoring the things about yourself that you're ashamed of or feel guilty about or don't like or reject, it's only you're only going to pull yourself further away from your own self. And
Hmm.
it's so important to intertwine that shadow into your day to day, because the reality of it is that things that happened in the past happen. Move forward, allow yourself to forgive yourself and be gentle, and take those lessons into your next like few steps and continue
Hmm.
to grow. So we're never going to get rid of the shadow until we, you know, end all, but even then we don't even know what's going to happen there, so
Yeah,
could continue
it's
on.
always, yeah, we might think we know, but we really don't know, right?
Oh
We
yeah.
might even know the short-term future, so to speak, like, okay, I know what's basically going to happen tomorrow, but then again, I don't. But even then, thinking further down the road, you don't know. You have no
Yeah.
idea, right? And we try to control that, and we try to dictate that. And I mean, that's a part of this lucid dream journey too, where it's like learning how to be in the energy, like be in the dream, but not of the
Oh yeah.
dream, not fully investing yourself in it, in the sense of emotionally or energetically.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, yeah, just flowing with it and not feeling that you have to, so to speak, control every single action, right? We're making decisions, and we'll see how the environment and the things there will respond to the decisions that we're making, which is like, again, like real life.
Yeah.
And so I do feel, speaking of the shadow, like I said before, I think it was in the last dream live stream, that this is literally why I wasn't doing the work, quote unquote, the dream work, because of everything I've been experiencing. This week hasn't been that bad. Um, but also, yeah, like the past, like before, I feel after that full moon, so I guess it was last week, was really, really
Yeah.
intense, like really, really
Yeah.
intense in the dream space. And now it's like that kind of shifted my waking life in a sense, in a I feel for the better, essentially. But now it's almost like I am kind of all over the place, right?
Oh,
And so I
100%.
feel that the dream or the bedtime routine is really going to make a difference there, and kind of like ground me and anchor me
I was just
in
going to say
for this
ground
month.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to just share a little bit about your bedtime routine? And
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll share
So
mine.
lately what I've been doing is I've been writing in my dream journal prior to going to sleep. And I might change that, because I don't know if I'm going to experiment a little, because that's what this is. You need to experiment, figure out what works with you. But I write down the date of the morning that I wake up, the what where the moon and the sun is, what time I end up going to sleep, or what my time is supposed to be. And then I pull some cards. So lately I've been pulling from my Bloom Oracle deck. It's a newer one I got, but I'll only pull one, or if they jump out, whatever jumps out, but kind of for some insight of what I might be facing in my dream. And then in regards to like self-care, I think it's really important to keep the space that I'm in cleaned up. So I make my bed. Even I'll make my bed at like 10 o'clock at night before I even get in my bed, just so it's like
Mm-hmm.
cozy and relaxed. Clean up the space like on my nightstand, and really reorganize and make sure that like I'm not bringing any mess with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do, the basic care. So, brushing my teeth and then washing my face, and kind of just getting rid of the day. I am going to start meditating before bed intentionally. I know we talked about this in the group yesterday, but that's not something I do intentionally. I do it as I'm falling asleep, but I want to do it beforehand so I can really embrace that energy. And then I drink tea every night. I have a couple different blends that I like. Lately, I've been doing butterfly pea flower, lavender mugwort, catnip and chamomile. And then I do another one it's a blend that I got from the store, and it's just called it's got a lot of interesting stuff in it. But I make sure I have a cup of tea every night. And I am going to invest in a sleep mask. I've
Oh,
realized that I'm
yeah.
disturbed
Yes.
by the light around me, and it
Yeah.
affects the way that I sleep. So yeah, I'm not going to give away too much more because I don't want to give away too many secrets. But that's a generalized routine of what I've been doing and what I'm going to start incorporating. And
Hmm.
really, you could choose one of those things. You could just have a cup of tea every night and
Yeah.
say like an affirmation or whatever, and that consistency will help with you relaxing for the night and preparing for your dream, like entering your dream realm.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I think we mentioned that last night, but I was gonna mention it to you too. And like for myself, where it's like you don't have to do all the things. That's one of the things I know as far as when it comes to routines is the overcommitment, because it's like you're excited and you want to do all the things, and then it's just so many things that you get overwhelmed, and then you don't do all the things, and then that just leads to a lack of motivation or inspiration. And so
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and so I definitely have known, just with routines in general, I will have the guidelines and then I just go off inspiration.
Yeah.
And and so lately, before Dream Circle, I haven't really had a bedtime. My bedtime routine was like my daughter's routine, because I was falling asleep with her. So it's like the brushing the teeth, washing the face, going to the bathroom, like reading a story, and leaving. The biggest thing is, the one thing that I've been really strict about, for the most part, I do have my nights where I fall asleep with the phone on the end table, but I do leave my phone not in the bedroom, because I've noticed how, or you know what, sometimes I'll put it on the dresser, which is kind of far away from my bed, on this, like on the other side of the room, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. But when it's on the end table, it just messes with me energetically, I feel. So, and I've noticed the difference in of dreams. And so that has been my bedtime routine. But now I am beginning to, like I said, my sleep cycle is changing, and so I'm staying up a little bit later. She's actually going to sleep earlier, and therefore she's waking up earlier, which I'm just like, that's not the agreement, because that means I gotta wait. Well, I tend to wake up earlier, but now she's waking up with me, and so I don't
Mm-hmm.
have my morning routine. And this is also adding to the chaos of my waking world, and why I've been feeling kind of ungrounded. So what I'm going to be doing, and just to share a little bit, I'm also going to invest in a sleep mask, and this is essential for, we were talking about also the meditation, even like not
Yeah.
with sleeping. But it's good if you are doing some sort of long extended, say, astral travel type meditation,
Mm-hmm.
which is what going to be a part of my nightly routine. So usually when when I did circle before, I would put my daughter to bed, then do my night routine. But since I've been falling asleep with her most of the time, I plan to do my routine before she's even in bed. And so taking time for myself, and whether it be take a shower, or like wash my face or wash my hands, just some sort of act of separation from earlier in the day, and like the cleansing of the water in some way. And then I want to take like 30 minutes to do the astral travel deep meditations that I used to do, and then journal, right? And then also have my tea, my candles, and all of that stuff. So, and I'm going to be flexible. Like last night, she actually fell asleep as soon as circle was over, which I was like really impressed by. So I had an early night to myself. And so I started out as like a really nice shower with the candles and everything. And then I don't know if I even told you, but it turned into a bath.
Mm-hmm.
So it turned into a meditative. Oh yeah, I did tell you. It turned into a meditative bath. So that was really nice. And the meditative bath was basically a ritual. So I didn't really have a restful sleep, but that was pretty
Yeah.
much something I invited, because I was calling energy up to be released. And so We'll see how tonight goes. And the next couple weeks, how that goes. But I'm really hoping to stay disciplined with it all.
We will be.
Yeah.
It'll be good. Look, that's why it's so important that we have this community with the dream circle, because we all are going to be there for each other, making sure that we stay on track. It's like something I've needed for a very long time. So I have no doubt that we're going to be on top.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just looking at the comments here. Excuse me. So Jay says, failure is only considered failure if you think it is. Good point. Um, what was that? I think I posted something on my Instagram yesterday or the day before where it was like, what if the obstacle is the opportunity? Which I feel that like that closed door is like the opening to like is yeah, the opening to another door or something else
Mm-hmm.
opening, another opportunity. So that definitely resonates. Mary says the Torian is muted now. We've gone from charging red anger, chasing to Zen. Okay, so we've gone from charging red anger, chasing energy to Zen red love, right? So I feel that. Yes, like bringing that
Yeah.
energy back in. And I've been talking about this too, or I did talk about it in Cosmic Climate, how it is like we're bringing that like self. I hate to say it, be cliche, but the self love, right? The self nurture, really like the self pleasure, like what feels good, what's essential, what's supportive for us right now. Which
Mm-hmm.
again, like this, I'm so happy we're starting with the bedtime routine, which is like you got to start with that every time. Because
Yeah.
if you go to bed in chaos and anxiety, then you're gonna have like those type of dreams, right? So we
Or
want to
none at
make
all,
sure
or
we,
not
or
that you
none
can
at
remember,
all.
at least, like,
Yeah.
because you're be so like wired with emotion that you're not going to be able to jump into that lucidity.
Yeah. So Jay says my bedtime routine can vary, but usually I put away all electronics and focus on clearing out what I've thought about the day. Then at times I do a visualization I've done for years to prime whether I will be lucid before the dreams or if I will let the dreams come to me naturally. Interesting. Yeah, you have to share a little bit more about what you mean, like being lucid before the dreams. That's interesting. I feel like
Like that in
I feel like it's
between
like a
state.
trance meditation. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like it's almost
Yeah.
making me think, Alexis, when you mentioned about like seeing things, like when you're
Hmm.
laying down and you're meditating before, like in bed, how you're like
Yeah.
getting visuals like in your third eye. So
Hmm.
it's kind of making me think of that a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see
let's
that because
see.
too, one of the things I tried to do last night, and I realize now too, there's something else I did before bed that I probably shouldn't do, before, like, with my dreaming. But when I was laying in bed, I started to say an affirmation over and over again, and then I visualized for like 25 minutes before I could fall asleep and lost my ability to do the affirmation. So I feel like, and I feel like that was probably not a good idea, but maybe if it's a little more controlled and intentional, it would be beneficial.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And that's one of the things I feel like I've done a few things. For dream recall, I definitely did affirmations. I don't know if, I mean, maybe it helped. I can't really remember. It wasn't anything like profound. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I went from 0 to 180 or
Hmm.
something like that. But I definitely have done meditations and also writing, or I know it's a Edgar Casey technique where you write a letter to your subconscious or your higher self, whatever you want to call it, and you ask a question or to be shown the answer in your dreams.
I've
And
never
then when
done
you
that
wake up in the
before.
morning, yeah, when you wake up in the morning, you just like write. Like usually you'll wake up with it, like with the dream, or like, yeah, you wake up with the
Oh, I'm gonna
dream
do
and
that.
then you like write it down. So that's what I did too. I did this years ago because I wanted to know my spirit team and I
Mhm.
wanted to know in order of dominance, but my dreams were all over the place. And yeah, so it actually came to me in one of the trance astral travel meditation, like after the meditation. So, I mean, it came, but not necessarily in dreams, but it works. That's my thing. It's just like, are you
Yeah.
open to it? And I was more open to receiving in the, like the astral, I was more like lucid, I guess you could say, in the astral travel, like meditation experience. So yeah, that's definitely some things that you can do um, to prepare for that dream space. Okay, so just kind of looking. Oh, right. Okay, Jay says he creates a specific visual space that is a hallway. And yeah, it's just intentional. Oh, so that kind of leads you into the dream. Interesting. I feel like you mentioned that to me before. So
That's a
that's
good
very cool.
idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
I
need to
think
do that.
I
I need to
think I
try
need to
that.
do that. And I think I need to really like, because Jace, I know that you're listening. When you're, did it take you long? Did it take you a while to figure out what um like visual to choose? And then did it take you a long time to establish that night to night? And I'm asking because I know that my brain is so, yeah, I am diagnosed ADHD, so my brain is just like a thunderstorm of thoughts and visuals all the time, especially at, before bed. Um, so like I'm trying to figure out how to even go about developing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so we'll see.
Yeah, sorry.
He says he says it's like, well, I don't think this is an answer to your question yet, but he says
Mhm.
it's like a daydream into a dream.
Right.
He is learning from 6 years old to 10 years old. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So I know, like, for me, it would make sense, or maybe not. I don't know. I have to try. But when I would do the astral travel meditation, and I would be going to different like realms, so to speak,
Hmm.
I would and this wasn't so, it just started to happen, but I would basically walk through like what I guess I consider it the void, but it was a long dark tunnel, but the background, like, it was like a starry background and it was just this long dark
Hmm.
tunnel, and I would just end up in it, and then I would like be walking through it and always guided by Mary Magdalene, and then I would end up somewhere else, like
Hmm.
in like a past life or whatever. And I've had other guides or entities or like spirits end up there too, like in the, it was kind of almost like the in between, but like definitely like a
Hmm.
portal. So I'm like, I wonder if that would be something, like I should try it with that
Yeah,
specifically,
absolutely. Especially because you were
since I
already
have
doing it and it
experience.
felt
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah. He said it's just like a visualization. If you want, I can get with you and give you both a better explanation. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely connect on that because I'm curious too at some point. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you. We're gonna share a dream. We're gonna keep it anonymous. It's not one of our dreams. And this dream is from one of the members on my website. So if you all are interested in sharing your dreams, we would love to connect with you. We would love to talk about it on this live stream. You can also join us if you want to be on camera. We would love to have you live. But if you want to just share your dream and, have us connect with you through the website, Jace is present there, Mary's present there. I have a lot of, almost like 100 members on my website. They haven't all participated in the dream space yet, but I'm going to send a formal invitation to everybody to share your dreams, and I mean, if you share it in the space, like, we're gonna comment on them and share our perspective and whatnot, but it's a very safe space. We're very positive and they're just to inspire and to connect and see, yeah, so see what the dream realm has to offer us collectively. So if you are interested in that, you can do that at uraniauniverse.com. If you look up at the top of the website, there are different, tabs. So go to the forum and then you'll see one for dreams and the astral. The astral plane, I think, is what I titled that. So we're going to share, there were 3 dreams, like very short, or no, 2 dreams from one of the members. And so she wrote that, and I guess there's a common connection to both these dreams. I think they happen yeah, so they basically happen within the same like night and then the morning. So the first one, she wrote yesterday and a 3 a.m. dream. I'm in San Francisco, it seems, and my son's apartment roof is collapsed inward and largely missing. Then I am in the lobby of the apartment building when another Tembler, I guess that, yeah, Tembler shakes the building. I am glad I hadn't gotten in the elevator, and it seems that taking one step at a time is still available to get there. This My son is actually in San Jose and is in his own house. Okay, so he doesn't live in an apartment; he's in his own house, but the same and he's in San Jose, so not San Francisco, but just for context. The two-part dream was so vivid she checked the news the next day. Then this morning, she had a dream of a or my, she puts in parentheses, car crash, also with the cleaved open roof, right? So there's like the opening, having to open the roof. So that happened in the first dream.
Mm.
And she says this pretty much happened to me in early 1977 in Nicaragua for the Peace Corps. And then she said, journaling, I had to laugh at the repeated word cleaver, realizing I very recently bought and wore a bra for the first time in 11 years. And then there was like, she just thought of the word cleavage. So there was the three. So I read this a while ago. Um, so I can share my thoughts on it. But do you want to share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, right off the bat, there's this element of being exposed. So the
Yeah.
roof crumbled in or torn open. It's exposing you to the outside world. It's exposing you, and maybe that's not something you're super comfortable with, is being exposed, being vulnerable. And maybe this is just, this is something that, even though it seems like a small detail in your dream, it's actually something that you're struggling with um, day to day or whatever it may be. It might just be coming up around that time. Um, but yeah, that was the biggest thing, is like the exposure, the vulnerability. I really got pulled to that interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was something that stood out to me too, was like, and just going back to, well, at least in the first dream and thinking about Carl Jung, always, I think his symbolism that he always referred to for like the home or the house was the consciousness
Hmm.
as a whole, and like, these different elements of, like the different rooms can correspond to the different parts within our consciousness, so to speak, like what we have, what's accessible. Sorry, it's unlocked. Sorry, 1 second. It's in the drawer. Like, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, so yes, the house, the consciousness. So basically, what I thought about, because obviously that's what stood out to me, is that there's some sort of, like you said, exposure, and like with the home, it could be like the opening or expansion of the consciousness. And I don't know whether it's like some sort of, her as mother tuning into maybe the son's experience. I know one of her sons is, I don't know if this is the one, but I know one of them, I believe, is a physicist, but also very curious, or at least entertains, spiritual physics, like spiritual science. And so I'm wondering, like, that's what I kind of thought about initially, but I don't know if I mentioned that to her, but I was like, okay, maybe you're tuning into, his energy and maybe what he's got going on. But that was like pretty much the first thing that I thought about, where there's an opening or an expansion or a freeing of consciousness in a sense. And
Mhm.
then, the second dream, where there was the open roof again, that felt like, again, this maybe like this freeing of consciousness, or maybe there's like an opening of looking at that particular experience in her life,
Mhm.
especially if there's, maybe unresolved trauma,
Mhm.
or yeah, just maybe yeah, the opening of the consciousness and being able to kind of like, oh, it's time to open this up again and to kind of look at this maybe differently, or, what have you. So I think that that's kind of what came forth for me. Let's see. Let me get back to the chat here, see what's coming through. So Jay says, yeah, being exposed and being vulnerable. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like
And
your
it's,
interpretation though of it being um like freeing yourself from like that freedom into the to the beyond the conscious, beyond what she had already been experiencing, like opening herself up. Like I do think they go hand in hand, because in order to open yourself up you have to be vulnerable, but there's a
yeah.
little more like there's a little more um I don't want to say positivity in the freeing yourself. um it feels more exciting than fear, where when I was thinking about being exposed I was thinking more about the fear.
Mm. Yeah, well, it's interesting because that I feel like I may have even mentioned this too, like when I commented on her dream, but it's almost like from her words, the fact that she was like, oh, it was so like the dream was so like, intense or real or whatever, that she had to check the news. So there was a sense of probably it brought forth worry or anxiety because, yeah, if you are at home and the roof is like blown open or you lose the roof of your home, that is really
Yeah.
terrifying.
Oh God,
Right.
yeah.
So that is being exposed. That is vulnerability. And from what I imagine was just like God like pulling back like the mind, or just like, okay, just kind of like, because it is suddenly, it feels like that type of dream is like a pretty much like a sudden experience. You're not
Yeah.
expecting your roof to come off, or even if you're in a car crash, then I mean that is also sudden and unexpected, and to have to be like pulled out of that, or the roof being pulled off, then that definitely is concerning and just very vulnerable and out of nowhere, right? So, I don't know if maybe afterwards, after maybe the dream could have been like a heads up of, hey, especially with the car crash, I could see a dream like that. I know if it were me personally, it would have me like thinking about that experience and in my feelings about it in whatever way, and just maybe getting another perspective, like, okay, why is this
Yeah.
coming up again? And then that brings on more healing, more questioning, more curiosity,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that definitely makes sense.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. Cool. So thank you, member. If you're watching this, you know who you are because I did ask permission. So thank you. And it was Alexis's idea to ask. And we actually were gonna, I think we were gonna ask like a week or so ago, but I was moving slow as always.
Well, we had other
So,
things to do.
right. So thank you. All right. So we're gonna share our dreams. Um, Sorry, I'm just like getting distracted by the chat. Cause some change in her hair. Interesting. Or change in her. Okay. Sorry. Um, all right. So we're gonna share our dreams from mine. Like I said, mine was from a couple days ago, and you're gonna share some from a little bit ago. Um, so who wants to go first?
You can go
Can we go
first.
first? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm feeling a little nervous today.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm really anxious not anxious in a bad way, but I'm really excited to get this one out because there was so much going on at the time and I wanted to tell you, but then there was so much going on that I couldn't even write it down. And then by the time I wrote it down, I was like, oh, I'll just save it for the live stream. So
Yeah.
perfect. All right. And I did write this down. So I didn't title this dream, but I'm going to title it Soul Retrieval, I think, because that's something that really
Hmm.
stood out to me. And like when I woke up, I was like, whoa. It was just centered, it was definitely centered around that. So this stream I had on May 5th of 2024. So few days ago. The moon was really, really dark in Aries. And it was like it was basically the end of my cycle. Like 2 days. Well, yeah, today's what, Wednesday. So yeah. Anyways. So cycle day 26. I'm in the luteal phase, like really hard PMSing. So my dreams can be really intense. All right. So I finally had some alone time. So this is the dream. I finally had some alone time to meet with a new friend as she was working a spiritual market about 4 hours away. I drove there in a new unknown car, meaning not sure if I owned it, rented it, or borrowed it
Mm.
from someone. It was nice and new, similar to my mom's car, as it was white too. So it was more than likely not my car because I don't like white cars. So the area of where the market was held was similar to the vibe of a flea market or a vintage market. It had a bit of a grunge feel to it. I arrived, um, I arrived and what? Okay, I arrived in her area initially was a section of a garage, like a big parking lot garage.
Mhm.
I was checking out her goods and also excited to see the other merchant too. She was there with another person who helped with her section. I was just so happy that I had money to spend and wanted to support the people there. I was looking around and I began to feel the impulse to go check out the other merchants, but then more people began to come to this section and I felt I needed to stay a little while longer. I turned around to see how my friend was doing, and I saw she had laid out witchy ritual items for a circle. So basically, there were like all these witchy items, different ones in a circle, like a witch's circle. And I
Mhm.
saw Ankh there, and I was excited. I was excited, of course. I turned around again, and the section was more open than what I saw before. There was another merchant who was there, and when I got a good glance at them, I realized she was the person I was actually there to meet with. So, who is the first merchant I encountered? I head over to talk to her and then found myself amongst a group of 10 to 15 people or so. We were sitting in 2 to 3 rows. So, yeah, like we were on the floor though, sitting like cross legged, but it was like 2 or 3 rows of people sitting, like we were going to watch a show or sit down and hear someone speak. However, I knew this was an important meeting of some kind. I was looking at the people here with me and I felt good. I even said to myself, these are my kind of people, my tribe, at least in appearance. I noticed there were two things being passed around. And what I mean by in appearance, it was like spiritual, like, they
Mhm.
had amulets and all that stuff,
Yeah.
crystals, like it was definitely. So I didn't know them personally, but they looked like my people. I noticed that there were two things being passed around in the group, a pipe and white paint or lipstick. So they smoked from the pipe and then put white lipstick or paint on their lips. The person next to me passed me the pipe. I smoked it. Then she put the white paint on my lips. I was excited, but also nervous as I realized I had no idea what was going on or what any of this meant. I then asked the girl, what was it that I just smoked? And she replied, soul retrieval. I thought, okay. And also, yikes, is this going to be intense like ayahuasca? when we then led we then were led into a house which was also a bit of an obstacle course. I had a strong connection to the girl that painted my lips white. She soon disappeared and I felt alone. I was concerned about what the effects of the soul retrieval would have on me. I felt a little lightheaded and vision blurred slightly, but I was able to snap myself out of it. I occasionally briefly chatted with other people and they mentioned that they definitely didn't smoke that. There was obviously something with this that I was uninformed about. At one point of the course, I was walking on the edge of a board with water beneath. It wasn't dangerous. I just didn't want to fall in. I felt we weren't supposed to fall in. However, I did eventually. I felt like I lost myself. The water flowed through different areas of the house. So this obstacle course was like in the house, but it was kind of like inside, outside, whatever. And so the water flowed through different areas of the house. Eventually, I made it to another room of the house out of the water. I didn't know where I was, and I was all alone in the room. Then I noticed there were glass windows to the other rooms, and I saw people in those rooms. I tried to get their attention to help me, but they just looked at me. Finally, some guy appeared in the room, and we began to walk through the house. He was familiar with the place. Then there was a knock on the door. It was some sort of city official. They were concerned about the drug use of the house as they had heard about the soul retrieval. The guy and I managed to slip out of the house and we were back into the garage. I was still feeling hazy, but felt okay to drive. I told the guy I would take him where he needed to go. I also considered sleeping in the car as I originally planned on staying overnight at the market. I honestly didn't want to risk driving 4 hours, and if I arrived home, Sidori, my child, will want to nurse, and I didn't want to give her the soul retrieval. And then that was like basically I woke up.
That is so interesting.
Right? Like,
What an interesting dream. What were your emotions and feelings throughout the dream and then when you woke up?
I would say like it began with excitement and then confusion and then yeah, the feeling of lost. Like it was weird though because when I was still excited, as I felt like as I was moving through it. And
Mhm.
then when I met the guy and we got out, like I still felt, I don't know, I don't feel like I had any kind of emotion. I was just kind of maybe disappointed. And I was like, well, I don't want to go home, but I also don't want to sleep in the car.
Yeah.
So it was a weird feeling. And when I woke up, I felt like I was like, "Ooh, what's this soul retrieval? Like, what is this?" Like, I felt like very curious. So the dream overall, I feel was like mysterious in a way.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind
Did
of
you
that.
feel do you recall any effects from this drug that you had taken in your dream?
Yeah, so I felt really hazy. I
Okay.
felt like, but it was only when I tuned into it, like if I wasn't paying attention, and I wasn't lucid in this, but if I wasn't paying attention to the dream or to that the fact that I did that, it was fine. I just know I was like I feel like I was going through some sort of initiation. And then when I thought about, oh yeah, I smoked something, then the haze and the confusion would come through, or just like maybe the anxiety or the worry about like, ooh, how is this going
Hmm.
to affect me? But it was pretty much just made me feel kind of like if I don't know, smoked a lot of weed and I was just like foggy brain, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a initiation because you used that word. Maybe that was an initiate like your subconscious or unconscious or higher self initiating you into this current, we just started the dream circle yesterday. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things going on. Maybe this was an initiation into this new territory, or not new, but it's different
Mm-hmm.
every time you do it. So
Yeah.
like a new experience with new people. And I feel like that is daunting overall.
Yeah. And like some of
And
the
then some.
aspects, oh, sorry.
No,
Go
no, no,
ahead.
continue.
Oh no, I was just gonna say some of the aspects of the dream, like the spiritual market and meeting someone, there is something that's gonna more than likely happen. Like I've been looking for local spiritual markets. There's also a girl that I connected with at a spiritual market that was here that lives in Ithaca, New York. And we've connected again on Instagram and have made a point to like meet up at like a market. So that was the girl, that was the friend that I was
Hmm.
considering that was in the dream. It wasn't actually her, but it
Yeah,
was, obviously it was her, but it didn't look like
yeah,
her.
yeah.
Um,
And I was gonna say something similar about the new car. I know you've been
mhm,
talking about that lately too. So it seems like it was more of like, and even the like flea markets, like we've talked about
mhm,
flea markets here and there, and you're meeting, connecting with people to, be a part of that or be in that um domain. I don't know where my brain just went, but it seems like a really it. I don't want to say it's dull because it's not dull, but it's almost like
like
you're
mundane.
going over the things that are coming up in your life through your dream. And this could be like
Mhm,
visuals of what you might encounter in the next several weeks. I know
mhm.
that I'm really interested in this soul retrieval drug. Like I'm wondering if
Right,
you'll
yeah.
you'll partake in this type of drug again, and the dream will be more focused on the effects that it'll
Yeah,
have on you further.
yeah.
Like maybe this is something that you'll explore more in your dreams. Um, but it's so interesting, especially like the I like that you kind of found your tribe. Like I like that you kind of found your people in a way. I felt like that was really like strong in, you know, in life right now, like with these
Mm.
transitions and stuff. It's yeah, this was that was a
Yeah, all
very
of these things,
interesting
like
dream.
I'll say when I drove, like, or when I was like, okay, I don't want to go back tonight. I'm staying overnight. I knew, like, in my mind or just in the dream, I was in Pennsylvania. So there was kind of like this connection to you as well, because I know you're like 4 hours away, and that was the thing. Well, I mean, I already planned to like visit you at some point, and so there was like, oh well, I wasn't planning to, I'm 4 hours away from home. Yes, I can drive,
Mhm.
but whatever. So there was kind of that, a little bit of that sprinkled in. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was like your brain's taking account of everything that you're prepping for, everything
Mm-hmm.
you're indulging in, and everything that's going to come your way. I almost feel
Yeah,
like it's kind of, I feel like it was a kind of, I don't want to say a good omen, but that's like the energy I'm getting from it, like
yeah,
a buildup of good events that are coming your way.
yeah. I like that. I was so happy. I was like, yes, like finally a really profound dream that doesn't scare me. So that's great.
I love that. That's progress. That's incredible. And you
I'm
know,
like, thank
even
you, universe.
it's yeah, it that's fantastic. I'm glad that you had that experience and I hope you continue to kind of lean in that
Yeah.
direction because it it doesn't I don't mind dreams that are scary and intense, but it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
So I get that 100%.
Awesome. All right. So what do you have for us?
So I was gonna do a longer one, but looking at the time, like we're right up to 10 o'clock already. So I'm gonna just tell my
Hmm.
dream from last night that I remember.
Okay.
Now, um, I know that I was lucid in more scenes, more dreams. I had more dreams. Like I can touch the surface of them, but they're just my brain's being really stubborn and it's like I'm trying not to get pissed off about it, but you know what? It happens. It happens. So the dream that I want to talk about last night that I remember is pretty short. So I'm living in a rail car, a train car,
Mm-hmm.
and we are traveling over the river and we stop and there's a lot of noise, a lot of like a lot of odd noise, a lot of intense loud noise and I get out of my cart and I kind of look over the rail because we're on a bridge over the river and I see that the a part of the bridge has collapsed. And I look and there's a couple carts on the other side. No carts fell through. It was like we stopped at a perfect time where like those carts got safe and we stayed on the other side so we were safe. But nonetheless, the bridge right there had collapsed. So I start climbing down, and as I'm climbing down, I'm actually looking into my train cart that I'm living in because I don't know if I think most people can picture that, but it's like a big metal box, and the wall, like the door opens up almost fully on the one side,
Mm-hmm.
like from top to bottom, it opens up fully. So I'm looking into this living space, and I can see like um that it's very warm and cozy and comfortable and I'm seeing decor and art and the lighting is warm and it's very like it's a nut I feel really connected to that. So I'm climbing down the warmth that was just like kind of like an energy feeling went into
Mm-hmm.
my body as like a like I'm warm. And then as I was climbing down, I got hit with feeling cold. So I got to the bottom of this like rail track and I'm looking around and I'm seeing how destroyed it is. And I'm on like this island because when you have structures like bridges over water, you have to have a island of some sort where the
Like the pillars or whatever.
Yeah, the pillars are like
Yeah.
planted. So this was there's a pillar on either side, so there was an island kind of like surrounding it all. So I got down on this island, and the people in the carts ahead of me crawled down, and we were kind of like just looking at what happened and having no real idea of what to do. So I know that the two other people who were in the carts in front of me who were past this had decided to walk up the tracks to try to find somebody to help us. And I just kind of stayed in the middle of this river. Like, and it was a brat, like, it was the energy of and the environment was like cloudy, on and off raining. So the water was muddy, like the rain really kicked up all the mud from the bottom. So it was like,
Mm.
it wasn't really rough, like it wasn't like it wasn't getting to me. But if I had gotten in the water, I probably would have drowned just from the intensity of it out there. So they climbed up and started walking up the tracks, and then I woke up.
Interesting. Well, the first thing that stood out to me is the whole temperature
Mm-hmm.
transition. Did you ever like do you have some sort of like meaning for that for yourself? Because that's like definitely that's a recurring thing for you.
I don't know. I don't know. I like my dreams are very sensory. Like I
Yeah.
have a lot of sensitivity in there, so I can even tell you like, it was humid. It was not hot. It was warm with a little bit of a chilly breeze, and it was humid, and like I could feel the temperature changes, and I could feel that aspect, but I don't know exactly
Yeah, like what that would mean.
what that would be aside from, genuine temperature changes wherever I'm at. Like I know
Right.
that,
Hmm.
it's we've talked about
I don't
different
know.
things
It could even,
before.
yeah, it could even be, and this is just me like reaching for things, but I'm like, oh, it could be, all your Libra placements and like Libra's like, having like holding space for both, or like it
Yeah.
is kind of a sign of duality or this and that, so to
Oh,
speak.
it is
So
absolutely
it's like
duality.
kind of being in that, like experiencing that in your dreams more
Hmm.
consistently. I'm not really sure, but um, I don't know. It's like, I mean, as far as like when I, think about trains, obviously there's some essence of like travel or movement, but then it's like it ends up being a crash, and your like adaptability was something that came to mind, and
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
definitely one of the oracle messages for this week that I've been picking up on. So it's like when you feel, you know, like it's like making me, the way I'm thinking is like when you're feeling stuck or when you feel trapped, it's like, can you find another way to like look at this or experience this or navigate this? Um, yeah, and just being able to be like quick on your feet in the moment. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm thinking about. And you said that was last night,
Yep, that was
right?
last night's
Yeah.
dream. And like
Yeah. So
I have like ghost memories of different scenes in different dreams, but they're so inconsistent that I'm not even going to try and reach for them. Like this was the only like dream that was really just I remember this.
hmm.
And even
Yeah.
it took me quite a bit of the day to retrieve that memory because I had to
Mm-hmm.
sit and like I constantly think about it. I was like, I know I'm on the river. I know I'm on the river. I know in a train. And like eventually it all kind of came back, but it's a hit or miss whether or not that's going to work.
Yeah. Well, there's another dream recall technique that you can use that I thought was kind of silly and just time consuming, and then I did it and actually worked. And I forgot to share this before because we've talked about dream recall before. But it's called the alphabet recall or something. Maybe I did mention it, but basically you go through like if you're trying to basically visualize or recall like a symbol or an image or just something in your dream. So you start with the first letter of the alphabet and you're like, was there anything that started with A? And obviously going down the line. And
Oh,
it actually worked. Like I
I
tried it.
might do that.
I can't remember which dream, But I remember I was sitting there and it was like so close. And then I started doing, I'm like, I'm just gonna try this alphabet thing. And then once I got that symbol, then once you go there, then it starts to unfold and unravel itself. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I forgot where I think I read that somewhere.
I got to
But
add
yeah,
that to it, my technique list because I
yeah,
like I just I want to try different things because I know that these are important even if I can't like cuz different ways that you sleep or wake up can really throw off your recall and I'm just like
yeah. Yeah, I
but
know. And it
I
it's
think it
it's hard not having my phone with me because the few times that I
yeah,
did and I've had dreams, especially crazy ones, I was able to like hit record, just voice record it real quick.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I will definitely one thing I didn't mention too is that I'm gonna have my dream journal next to my bed. Even if I don't write it out, just the act of having it next to my bed
Mhm.
because I've been really bad about that too, like not having that there. Because usually I don't ever like get up and write because it's a mess. But I tend to, like, even if I have it there, it just kind of gets my mind like, okay, she's ready to record, she wants to
Yeah,
remember this. I'm going to do that.
absolutely. That's a great idea and I've been doing that. I've just been putting it right next to my bed on my nightstand and like I even just the idea of it being there, I feel like is stimulating.
Hmm. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, this is the second night where I am feeling in the midst of conversation. I'm feeling that hazy energy, the sleepiness. But I'm gonna blame it on my period because hey, it's day
Oh God,
one.
yeah,
So I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm allowed to be tired and sleepy. God
Yes,
damn
you
it.
are. Yes, you are.
So hopefully I rest well tonight because last night was rough. All right, so we're gonna close it here. I'm just looking at the comments. Um Jay says there's one as far as dream recall, there is the one that anything you remember, you try to remember the feeling. Yeah, remembering the
Hmm.
feeling. That helps too sometimes. Most times it does, but sometimes, yeah, I don't know. Like even I feel the ones that don't really draw that like when I have like really strong emotions, I definitely remember those.
Yeah. Hmm.
And the ones that are just kind of like, but they were kind of I'm curious about them. Yeah, those are hard. Those are the ones where it's kind of harder to catch if they're already slipping away. So yeah, but the
Yeah.
feeling is definitely a good one. Um, you can silence your phone at night. Mine has a night. No, I my phone is always on silent at night, and I keep my phone is on sleep until like 10 a.m. But it's the literally the act of the phone being there. Like people aren't messing. Like I silence it, but that doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like it's the energetics of it. Like
Yeah.
I'm one of those people where I literally feel that there's like energy beams like beaming at me in the middle of the night, and because I believe it, that's my reality, I guess. And that shit is wild. The kind of like distorted dreams I have, like maybe one night I'll do it as an experiment.
Yeah.
Maybe like the night before a live stream and see if and then of course I do that and like nothing, like I have like the best dream ever.
Hey, it'd be
So
an experiment nonetheless. You get your results.
oh yeah, I know, right? So oh, Mary says your dream Urania seems like an invitation to get comfy with trusting your intuition. Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
yes. I love that. I love
Stepping
that
out of the comfort.
interpretation.
I just love that the response about the whatever was in the pipe was soul retrieval. I was like, while that
I know.
seems exciting, I'm like, okay, what do I need to expect? Because that's intense.
I
But it
love
was
that.
fine. And it's so funny. I should have been lucid at that moment because that is something I absolutely would not do. Like I don't just like take
Uh,
pipes from random people, even
no.
if it, especially at like some sort of spiritual event. No, I have too much Capricorn. I'm like, I need to know,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Keep yourself safe.
And Mary says, Lex, your warrioress. So I'm thinking you have like a warrior type dream, warrioress dream.
It
I'm
was
assuming.
definitely an interesting dream. I wish that I
Yeah.
could remember the more of them because like I said I'm getting like I know that I was at one point I was in a car driving somewhere and it replicated a place that I've been before and people I was with, but it's just so far. Like I got to sit down and do that retrieval exercise because I'm like, what was it? What was it?
Yeah. So when you mentioned something about muddy water because Mary has a in her lineage, her culture,
Hmm.
like their own. I can't use words today. So yeah, her family basically, her mother, they have a theory about like what muddy waters would be like their omen as far as a dream. So when the muddy water, it was just around. Were you ever in it, or just it was there, or what?
Nope, I was safe on the island where the pillars were planted. But the river, it was raining and on and off
Mm-hmm.
raining, so the river was just intense from the rain, and it almost seemed like if I stayed there longer and it kept raining it probably would have flooded the island, but
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there long enough to find out.
Okay.
Good thing
Yeah, because
too.
she says that muddy waters is like a really, really good omen. Like
Ooh.
is it Mary? You have to mention it in the chat if you can. Like, is it abundance or just like good energy in general? But it's like, so Mary's Sicilian, right? But in her tradition, like as far as her family and the way she's been taught, like, or not taught dream interpretation, but the way her family has interpreted dreams reminds me of ancient cultures or older cultures where, especially with the Egyptians, like a lot of their dream interpretations were basically, if this then that, or this is good, this is like a list of good, a list of bad, and
Hmm.
usually it's the opposite of what you would think.
Hmm.
And so, like, I know before, this was like probably a year or so ago, but I had this dream about money and it was really interesting. I kept losing my wallet and then someone would show up and, it was like I think I gave them money, but there was like the presence of cash where I had all this money. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get all this money. And then Mary inserted her interpretation. She was like, "Oh no, like you need to be careful with your finances," which is
Yeah.
kind of obvious from the nature of the dream in itself. And then I was like, "What?" And literally that day, I think my like account went in the negative or something weird happened with my bank account,
Oh,
and I was like, "God damn it!"
you
Like,
like just you have to pay attention to your finances because like what's going on,
right,
something's gonna
yeah. But it
happen.
was
Yeah.
it was really interesting. So it's the opposite, and I know there's some like I know she told me if you see yourself, and I don't know if this was from Mary or if I read this like as far as like Egyptian interpretations, but it's like if you see yourself dead, then that actually means you have a long life ahead of you. I think Mary, you mentioned that before recently when I was talking about the dream with my grandfather in it, but then I also did see that in Egyptian their interpretations of some dreams. So I was like, interesting. Yeah, muddy waters is a good omen. You got cleansing too, just good energy, good news. The dirtier the better.
The dirtier the better.
Yeah, I love that.
Sorry, there was that Millie Bobby Brown eating carrots video. And there was
I
like
don't
a
know if I've
bowl
seen
of
that.
peeled carrots and a bowl of like fresh carrots out of the ground. And she's like, the dirtier the better. I
Perfect.
don't know why that
Yes.
popped in.
That because it's perfect. Exactly. Organic. All right. So I think that this is a good place to close it out.
I agree.
Um, so sorry, I'm just like trying to ground myself and get focused because there's a lot going on with the child. All right, so thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like the video, please comment, please subscribe. We are in Dream Circle, so I will at some point start a wait list for the next Dream Circle.
Mhm.
And if you desire to sit with us in that sacred space, we would love to have you for the next round. Not really sure when that will be, but it will be soon. So listen out for that. But in the meantime, please show up here live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, as I mentioned, there is a forum on my website, uraniauniverse.com, and there's the category is dreams and astral planes. So if you want to share your dreams there or see what we're dreaming about, because we're going to share dreams periodically, not just the ones that we share here, but just in general when we feel called to do so. So we would love to connect with you here in this space on YouTube and also on my website. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Alexis, before we head off?
No, I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend, and we're coming up, well, now we're halfway through the week already and beyond. So I hope you have a good weekend coming up. But yeah, no, I think this was fantastic, and I am excited for next week. Good
Yay. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Sleep well.
night.